All right, and so welcome everyone. Really excited to have our meeting. Kat's joining. So this is our, she really is joining. This is our first meeting with the officers in place. And so what I wanted to do is start off just giving Sheena and Sunny some time just to, they've already shared a little bit about themselves. We shared in the email, but anything y'all want to share about yourselves or anything you're excited about and some of the things that you're rolling with now that you are in the mix. So Sheena, we'll start with you.
Okay, so hi everybody. As my name tape says, I'm Sheena Palmer. I moved to Richmond, Virginia in August 2020. Said 22, it's not even 22 yet. 2020, and I always had a love for Richmond, Virginia. I used to come here as a child since I was 13 years old. About 7 times a year. And when I finally made the move, I made it a point to want to get involved with my community. And that's not just my immediate community, which is the East End, but also just with the Richmond, Virginia community. So I joined the PTSA at the children's school. I have 2 teenagers, a 13-year-old and a 16-year-old, 1 boy, 1 girl. And they are musicians. So they play for TJ High School marching band and also produce music. So we're kind of all over the place a little bit and when it comes to music. And then my daughter is also an athlete where she's the MVP at Franklin Military Academy for basketball, the middle school girls basketball team. With all that being said, I've gotten my hands in several little pots to connect with people around the city, not only through my children, but then also through my interests of wanting to help others in serving at Trinity Baptist Church, and also going to the Robinson Theater whenever they have an event that's a community event, and as well as just working with my sister whenever she has an event through her sorority. And it has been advantageous when she's actually the one who sent me the email for New Vision Civic League. And I finally figured it out, Paul. I was like, how did I find this place? And she said, this is something that's right up your alley. And the first meeting, and I was smitten with the initiative. It was a blessing to meet Paul. It was a blessing to meet Frida at my first meeting, and Sunny as well. And I think that it was just, I was like, okay, I'm in the right place. I'm able to impact change differently and help in any way I can if allowed to. That's all.
Well, I'm glad you're here. We need you. I'm looking forward to working with you and hearing some good ideas. And hopefully, soon we'll be able to meet in person and get off these Zooms. We'll see. But thank you for signing up and making yourself available to us. We appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.
I appreciate it. All right. I know Paul does.
Yep.
We all appreciate it. I think I speak for everyone when I say we appreciate it. It's good to have new people with fresh ideas and energy and zeal. And I from listening to you the first time, I think you're a person that likes to get things done.
Yes.
And my son is an alumni of TJ High School. So I went to John Marshall, but we won't talk about that rivalry. Anyway.
Oh, I was at one of the football games. It was serious business. I said, oh my goodness, this is like TV. Like watching the teeny bopper movies, right? And the 2 schools that are rivals. But my kids actually go to Franklin Military Academy and they just play on the marching high school. So they don't actually
well, that's good that they allowed them to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And Sunny, we mostly
so I moved to
Sunny lives just down the street.
Yeah.
Actually, I can see his house from my backyard.
Yeah. Yeah. So I got involved with New Visions back in, I think it was 2015. And that's when I moved into my house there on Carrington. And I was walking by the East End Library one morning, and you guys were all like lined up before it was like kind of all grouped together. And I was just going for a walk, and someone, you guys were talking about something. I don't remember exactly. I think it might have been Mrs. T who came up to me and just said, hello, are you here for the meeting? And I was like, what meeting? And then she told me it was like a meeting of the neighborhood and asked where I lived. And I just kind of like didn't have anything to do and came into that meeting. And I really felt connected with you all, and thought it was really cool because I didn't know that many people specifically in East End, and I had only moved to Richmond just a year before. So I just started getting involved and coming to meetings. And then I got pretty passionate about the street I live on, Carrington, and that's been an ongoing project now since that time. And I've moved out of the neighborhood. I still have my house there. And I've decided, just especially with COVID, since there's been the opportunity to still come into these meetings, is try and come in as I can. And I'd really like to support the neighborhood and this group specifically in any way that's needed. And it seems like digital and things that can be done remotely, some of that being treasury stuff, can be done remotely, and I'd be happy to do that. And it just kind of worked out. So I've talked to Paul a little bit about treasury stuff, and I think Mrs. Baxton, is that correct, Paul? Is that her name?
Braxton, yeah.
Braxton, yes. Used to be involved in treasury things. So for this month, what I want to do is reach out to her and try and get in contact with her. We have a couple phone numbers, and just see what was done in the past and when she was working on things, and see if we can kind of pick that torch up and kind of get a little bit of organization on the treasury side of things for New Visions.
Yeah, thanks, Sonny. Yeah, and I'm really excited because, as I've shared, there's a lot that New Visions has done. There's a lot that New Visions can do. But where we are now is there's a lot of rebuilding, from transitioning out of past officers, from pandemic doing all that it did. And so one of the things that we're looking into, and Sheena and I had a conversation earlier this week about, what this year will look like. And a lot of what this year is going to look like is, rebuilding, I guess, can be the word, but the challenge for us is we want to make sure that we're retaining, honoring, protecting some of the things that make New Visions unique and special. New Visions has a lot of history. New Visions has a unique way of living into that neighbors, helping neighbors. So we want to retain that. We don't want to lose that, while also exploring, where are we now? What does New Visions need to look like now? Who's at the table? Who isn't at the table that we want at the table? And so this year is going to be a lot of that foundational work, that putting the cinder blocks down. And it might be hard to see exactly where the house is, but we have a vision for where it's heading. But it could take some time to rebuild, especially because in the last 2 years, the neighborhood's changed a lot. There's a lot of new neighbors. In fact, I pulled up my other phone, or my phone on here. Let me see if I want to switch it around. Here we go. So I could show you. So this is the latest, the 20th in our projects.
Paul, we can't see anything but the back, your living room.
No, it's the
other
other
one. The other one. Down in the
Look
corner.
at the other Paul Granger.
Other Paul Granger.
Oh, wait a minute. Let me see.
You're on a cell phone.
Oh, okay. I got you. Thank you.
You're supposed to look in the mirror, Frida, and then you can see out through the back.
Today, tomorrow, Thursday.
So that's wanted to pull that up. The 20th in our project is officially finished, and there are owners in 4 of them. And in 2 of them, they've officially moved in. 1, they're moving in today. And then they're going to be having open houses soon for the unit on the end. But, you know, that right there, it's 5 new households, 5 new folks that didn't previously live in the neighborhood. One of them lived in the neighborhood, the others didn't. And so, you know, that's something that as a civic association, you know, we have to navigate. How do we introduce ourselves? Because there are people that have lived in the neighborhood that don't know about New Visions, but definitely those that are coming in might not know. How do we communicate the value of something like a civic association? How do we communicate in such a way that doesn't just sound like a boring meeting, right? How do we communicate, even if it is a boring meeting, it's still important because there are things that need to happen, right? So it's like all these things. And one thing that years ago, Sean and I were talking about is part of this could end up playing out as, how do we find the pockets and grooves where these different things fit in? So for some people, they just want to get to know neighbors and it just needs to be organic. So that's going to be your cookouts and neighborhood gatherings. Other people are like, no, there's stuff happening on Carrington Street and we need to figure it out, because if we don't, we're going to miss out, right? And those are the more serious things. So we've already started to branch out into this a little bit by when people sign up for the newsletter, they can choose things that they're interested in. And so for development things, that was one of the side categories. And that's allowed me to branch out some more focused conversations, particularly with the 2200 Carrington project, where we could get into the weeds that some people might not be interested in, just with the folks that are interested in it. And then that way, people aren't feeling inundated with stuff they don't care about. And the people that do care about it can go a lot deeper than they might be able to if it was a broad group. So there's a lot that's going to be happening this year, but we're actually going to be able to start rolling into something you mentioned earlier, Frida. I do think that I'm at the point of, I'm going to start having conversations with key folks around what in-person could look like. As I mentioned, I definitely for the time being, but maybe indefinitely, I want to, my lean is going to be towards a hybrid model, so that anybody that's not comfortable yet coming out can, but also this still allows people who want to be present, you know, like if they're in France or something, to be able to participate. If somebody's sick, I mean, it would have been great for me years ago when my kids were much younger. And there were times where if my wife wasn't able to watch the kids, I wasn't able to make it to the meeting because they were at that age where they would be too distracting for a sit down meeting. So it's exciting things. I am really excited to have Sheena and Sunny serving in these ways. We're also going to be pulling in a few folks in some informal capacities that it might be project based. So like I know Ms. Thompson has already set her eyes on bringing back National Night Out. And so that's something she's already taken some ownership of and has some excitement around. You were saying something, Frida?
I said, well, all right.
Yeah. And speaking of things that are happening that we should have our eyes on, Rick has been coming to New Visions for many years. And he has also been investing deeply in a small pocket of our community right behind MLK Junior Middle School. And so I shared in the last email, I've been talking a bit about in several past emails, but in the last email specifically about Unity Park and the MLK Freedom Fest. And so Rick wanted to join specifically today to share a little more about that. So Rick, you've got the figurative mic, literal mic.
Thank you, Paul. So I'll speak about that and just about New Visions. I live over at 30th and Clay, so I'm not in your hood, but I've been gravitating to your hood for a long time, probably a decade or close to it. And in part, it's because I understand the importance of neighborhood associations. And as Sunny had the opportunity to be enveloped by Ms. T, you know, I got into the fold through Ms. Thompson as well. I've had a 20-year support effort for the East End in general, and felt really that New Vision as a concept and as a reality was something that we needed to have more of throughout the East End. And that was long before the massive transformation that Paul just showed us across the street and what's been going on. I've just looked at it as a way to stay focused, to try to spread the ideas that I have. Again, y'all are smack in the midst of the target market area that I'm trying to help out. So it's been a very easy intersection, and working with John Murden, and just, you know, it's I've learned a lot, and I feel like what's happened over the last couple of years certainly has changed neighborhood associations, and you may struggle with getting back to the personal meetings, but one of the beautiful things about COVID has been that things like Zoom and the ability, the technical ability for people to participate, because even if you wanted to go to a meeting and didn't care about the issues of health, and you felt comfortable in going to the East End Library or to, you know, over to Front Porch or whatever, sometimes just that little extra hour of a half an hour here and a half an hour there travel makes it hard. And so the ability to pop in like this, or to pop in like Sunny is an extraordinary benefit. And I think the hybrid is the way you should go. Personal choice or personal suggestion, just because I think that ultimately the world has changed drastically since the time that New Visions got started, and that was then, and now is it's a lot different for a lot of different reasons. And one of the big reasons is that life has gotten so complicated, and that's why there's always something to do and something I got to consider before I might come to a meeting or do something. But ultimately, I see New Visions remaining in that really powerful position, and what y'all are doing and getting Sheena and Sunny involved, and, you know, Frida's been there forever, and is finally building an infrastructure to be able to redevelop the concept of a neighborhood association and a civic association. And the community of Richmond really desperately needs for there to be neighborhood associations established across the city, and working both closely together, but just dealing with the folks in the neighborhood, because life's gotten really, really complicated, and we've become isolated, physically, emotionally, intellectually, and certainly within the times constraint. But there also are a lot more reasons how your neighbors could be helpful to you, and that you could be helpful to your neighbors, if there was that means to be able to understand who's out there doing what and how can I intersect. And the monthly meeting used to be that means, but that's certainly not the only way. And so I support what y'all are doing, and I think that you know, it definitely takes a team, and Paul has been doing yeoman's work for a while now on just trying to keep the plate spinning. And now there's a couple more people to plate spin, as well as you can probably set up a couple more plates, and the, you know, website and the connectivity and the newsletter and all that's great. But it also takes that personal get together. So I have an idea towards that. As Paul mentioned, I've been actively, well, since 2015, I've been actively pushing Richmond Public Schools and the city of Richmond to do something with the amazing property that surrounds the two MLK schools across the street from y'all. There's two baseball fields and a football field with a track and a whole acre and a quarter at Mosby and Little Page that sits there doing nothing. And then there's land all the way back to the bridge. And as a part of all this, I've also recognized that under the bridge on the back entrance to MLK is an extraordinary potential gathering spot. And so literally for the last 7 years, I've been pushing this rock up the hill. And I thought I had it up to the top of the hill last May when I finally got Richmond Public Schools to say, sure, you can put a farm in the back there, which is where we've been pushing to create the MLK Urban Agricultural Center, nicknamed MLK Urban Ag, to do farming, to do training, to do connection opportunities, and to take advantage of land that is literally just sitting unused. Obviously, right now, it's not today at this moment. Maybe there wouldn't be a lot going on over there, but there's never anything going on over there. And it's really frustrating to me when you have the communities that surround this property, being the 4 big ones, being Mosby Court, Upper and Lower, Oliver Crossing, Jefferson Townhomes, and you, New Vision Civic League, the community that lives across the street. Outside of your section, I did numbers and forgot it from RHA and others that there's about 950 units in Mosby, Oliver Crossing, and Jefferson Townhomes. Close to 4,000 people, close to 2,000 children. Nobody is using the space. It's ridiculous. They're all screaming out for experiential opportunities. They're all struggling in a variety of ways. And within a couple of blocks walking distance, there's the opportunity to create a lot of interaction and a lot of community development, as well as activities for the kids when moms are working, and just experiential growth that could be tied to the schools and should be tied to the schools. And back in, so I thought, there's got to be a way to do this. And a year ago, I found out that the schools had so much vacant land that they actually created a vacant property committee. And I decided that it was appropriate to call the property back there vacant. So I reached out and met with the school board back in April of last year, and made my song and dance, which I had worked out with the council members and with school board members and Parks and Rec, that we were going to look to have them transfer the land to the city so that it could be turned into a park. And I made my presentation and everybody was seemingly on board. And at the end of the meeting, Michelle Hadusko, who's the chief of staff, who's great, who was working that meeting, is just one of the hardest working people in Richmond Public Schools, if not the. She said, well, why can't Richmond Public Schools do this? And I said, that would be fine. I've been trying for 6 years and you guys didn't want to do it. And so they decided to do it, and they wanted to take ownership of the space, even though they don't really intend to use it, certainly for the MLK school and for the preschools. And what turned out over the last year, they spent about $30,000 or $40,000. They completely redid the 2 baseball fields, which flooded, were regularly flooded. They put in a fence around the entire 2 fields. They fixed up the basketball courts, and they gave me the opportunity to set up the farm. Well, I'm a little bit aggressive and sometimes in the way that I do things, and or anticipatory or whatever, but within about a week after that meeting, I started moving stuff out to the field to create the farm. And we right now have a lot of it ready to go, but quite literally, I'm still playing the memorandum of understanding game with Richmond Public Schools a year later to be able to actually get out there and do it. Throughout all that, so anyway, that's sort of a future thing that'll be available, and we're looking to do 30 or 24 32-foot raised beds, and we're going to have a meditation garden, and we're going to be working. We have the full support of J. Sargent Reynolds, or pardon me, that's the old name. I'm giving up my age. Reynolds Community College. The horticulture and sustainable ag, working with Virginia State College of Agriculture. MLK is a STEM school, so it fits in perfectly with them. But one of the problems with the way the land works is that it's just too far away for the school to be able to actually use it from an instruction perspective. So what we're hoping to do is intersect with Rich Public Schools folks maybe an after-school activities with Next Up and some of the others that are set up. But regardless, it's just an incredible space that needs work. I've been working closely with the Police Athletic League because my involvement with Richmond Police Department is several decades old, and we need a better relationship between police and the communities that we're discussing here. And that's not an easy task, but Police Athletic League is a wonderful conduit to sort of getting that started. And so we've had them out on the fields because they've been sort of, they didn't realize that they were back there. And, you know, so many people don't know that they're back there. Even people that live in your neighborhood aren't quite sure because they never ventured over there. For several years, we've been trying to do events at the space. In 2018 and 2019, I did the I Have a Dream Festival. And in 2019, that actually worked underneath the bridge, and it was great. And then COVID hit. So for the last couple of years, it's been really difficult. And I've continued to try to do events. Last year, we did a good I Have a Dream Festival. It got great attention in the Times-Dispatch and Free Press. But it was still hampered by COVID because COVID just maybe still doesn't seem to go away. But the other thing that we tried to do this past in January and then in April was a new idea called the MLK Freedom Fest. And ultimately, what I've been trying to promote with this space is not only the use of the land, but the great opportunity to invoke and to inspire people through the life example of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And a lot of people don't know that the bridge that comes across, that some people call the Lee Street Viaduct, is actually the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Bridge. And it's an amazing bridge, and it has amazing views on the southern side of all of Shaka Valley. And so I've been actually promoting with the city about the opportunity maybe to turn the bridge into a park and closing off one of the travel lanes and using it as a destination spot. But under the bridge on the backside coming into MLK is also a very sweet spot, and it's covered by 6 lanes. So there's no rains. Rain's not an issue, and it's cooler in the summer and warmer in the winter. And it's just a no man's land right now, but we've been working to try to turn that into a space that can be, so the whole area all the way from Mosby and Little Page to under the bridge on top of the bridge is what we're considering the MLK Unity Park. And it's something that we want to turn into a adventure space for everybody that lives around there, and then all of the East End, and then beyond. And certainly I think it's something that the families that live in the New Vision Civic League footprint can benefit from significantly. I tried to do the new I Have a Dream Festival this year on Sunday, August 28th, which is the anniversary of the speech. And so I reached out to Rich Public Schools to ask for this permission, and they said no, because schools start earlier this year on August 29th, before Labor Day. And that's the first time that they've ever done that. So I was kind of at a loss as to, I wanted to do something MLK oriented and event oriented, and have finally secured support from Rich Public Schools. And we're going to do on September 10th, which is the Saturday after Labor Day, the MLK Freedom Fest. And Paul has information that I think he may have sent to you, Sheena and Sunny, and Frida. If you haven't, I'm sure Paul will send it. But we're going to do an all-day event, and this is going to hopefully become, and the I Have a Dream was intended to be annual. This is now going to sort of encompass all of my MLK aspirations in one event each year, and then hopefully to inspire other people to do other events. But we're going to take over the entire space. We're going to have athletics in the athletic fields. We're going to have the farms going to be up and going, because I am within a week or so of getting the MOU going with them. We're going to have entertainment under the bridge. We're going to have art along the lattice part of the walkway on top of the bridge. We're going to orient people to go up to the bridge and check it out. And it's going to be geared towards supporting Richmond Public Schools, and then also to have all the different entities that have information that could be beneficial to people about where we're heading, because hopefully we're going to be at a point where, not only will school just be starting, but hopefully life will be opening up a little bit more. And regardless of that time of year, there's a lot going on. So from 12 to 5, we're going to have an event all day that'll have an entertainment stage. Sheena would love to connect with your artist children. We want to get Franklin involved. We had the Armstrong Drumline was a part of one of the events that we've done in the past. We've gotten the MLK cheerleaders, we've gotten dancers. There's a lot of talent in Rich Public Schools and within the schools in the East End, but also through what you're doing at Franklin. And I'm very familiar with Franklin because I live down the street and done a lot of work with Colonel Day and folks over there. But so it's great that y'all are able to participate, or the kids are. But this is about intersecting with the schools, promoting the schools. If you haven't been paying attention, RPS is under the gun a little bit from just life is just so complicated for them. And they need the support, not just of school board, but the community needs to step up. And this has been my way of trying to do what I can to help out. We hope to have a couple thousand people there that day, and that it would be a great, it'll be fun. It'll be a lot of people seeing new space. There'll be games and things to do. And also hopefully a community benefit. And for New Vision, I see it as possibly fitting in timing wise. And as y'all are becoming, as you're burgeoning and developing, an opportunity for you to intersect with the people that live in your footprint and do it in a really easy, fun, have a picnic. We can set up a space, do a tent, invite people to come by, look face to face, learn about the space, because ultimately I'm trying to create a playground for folks like that live in your family, in your footprint. And you have now, when you think about how populated your footprint has become, you have a really significant number of people that are eligible to be just within New Visions. And again, I'm a New Visioner from way back, and I don't live in your area, but that doesn't, that hasn't stopped me. Not only do I see the opportunity for the event to be great for y'all to reintroduce yourself to people that you knew and introduce Paul's neighbors across the street to what's going on and whatever else. But it's also a way for other people to find out that, hey, there's a New Vision Civic League, and oh, well, I live in Fairmount. One of my new friends is Joseph Rogers, who you might remember ran against Cynthia Newbill in the last council election, and he works now at he's the community engagement director for the Virginia Museum of History and Culture, which is about to open up next week. But he lives in the 1500 block of 20th Street. So he lives just over on the other side of Fairmount, on the same street that Paul lives on, just a couple blocks away. And over there on that side, there's in name some neighborhood associations, but I don't think that they're nothing like what New Vision has been and could be. But they have a population, a strong population that is in the same general area as what we're talking about for the schools and all the things y'all are doing. And so I think there's an opportunity to jump Fairmount, and maybe, I'm not suggesting that y'all expand the footprint, but that there's just a way to get more people involved in being neighborly. And if it's done under the name of the New Vision Civic League, but it ultimately has a spread that goes all the way to France, and I don't think there's a neighborhood association in Richmond that has that ability. So, y'all are on top on that one. And that, that's cool. And that's part of what we have to do. You're talking with New Vision about getting back to where you were. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's just saying, hey, we've got a great foundation, but everything's new, and we need to come up with a new way of looking at life, and that you can take a leadership role in inspiring others to get involved. I'm a loner. I am able to keep working hard, and it's hard though. It's a lot easier when you have a Sheena and a Sunny and a Frida that help, Paul. And I know that makes you happy, and we need more Sheenas and Sunnies. And ultimately, what you're doing with the newsletter and getting people to tell you what help do you need? Because if people start opening up, they'll find that not only are there ways to get helped, but there's ways to help. And that's really what this is all about. So I would love to invest and involve folks in the event on the 10th, which will become an annual thing. And it can go in any number of different directions. And it's really simple. It's just about getting people to come on out. And the beauty of, if it's raining like last night, we got a big old bridge that gets over top, and we have a lot of fun under the bridge. But chances are I booked good weather, and I'm hoping that that they'll keep my reservation. But it should be nice. It's September, so it'll be maybe a little bit cooler. And again, we're hoping to cement this with on an annual. The Saturday after Labor Day will be when the MLK Freedom Fest. We've had the mayor and the police chief and the fire chief and all the elected officials in the past, and we expect them again this year. We're going to take the idea that we did in 2018 and 2019, where we had the MLK Unity Parade. Those years we had the No BS brass band that led us, and that was great. But this time, I'm hoping that all the entertainment that we have at the event will be RPS oriented and come from East End students and elsewhere throughout the division, both creative, performing, and that it will be a lot of reasons why people come out. We'll have the health district, we'll have everybody. I think we can come out there and offer information, and then just have this become a gravitation spot, hopefully to be done more often than just on September 10th.
Yeah, thank you, Rick.
Boom.
And, what I'm excited about is, you've shared about Unity Park over the years, and it's been ever changing, but I like now that we have it recorded because it does help to have that backstory, to know not just what it is, but what it's about, why it exists. And I wanted to share an image. So can you see my mouse? Maybe
yes.
not. Yeah. Okay. So this is what Rick was just talking about. So I'm like right over here. You got R Street, you got Mosby Street, and this is MLK Junior Middle School. And so the yellow encapsulates this land that just really is not really utilized.
And the beauty of this picture, Paul, also, which helps me with my point, if you look down on the bridge, what does Google call this?
Yeah.
They call this the Lee Street Viaduct. So one of the things that I'm working with is to get kids at MLK. We want to reach out to Google and get them to change Google Maps.
Yeah.
And get it named the MLK Memorial Bridge, which is what its name is. It's an opportunity for inspiration.
Yeah. And there's some unique things about this park that other spaces might not offer. So like up here, there's Lux Field. And Rick, I don't know if you've been following along with the developments there, but it'd be good for you to keep an ear on it, because they're looking at revitalizing Lux Field.
Right. Well, they're going to spend $20 million on the community center.
And so it could be interesting to see if there are things, when there's community feedback, there's going to be a lot that comes out in that they're not going to be able to do in that small space, that then you can just kind of take and say, but over here.
Right. No, it's just, we want to sort of identify that they're connected spaces.
Yeah.
And it's just a couple blocks.
Yeah. And what's beautiful, like what Lux Field and a community center can't offer that Parker Field, Unity Park does offer, is it's a wide open space. So right here, right around here is where you go.
There's my
farm. Over
farm.
there now. Yep. His farm's right there. You can go and see it. Another cool thing is there's this wooded section, and it doesn't look like much on the map, but it's actually enough space where, you know, Rick took me back one time and you could have there's a trail, but you could have this wooded trail in the middle of the city. So, you know, the thing that this offers that other spaces might not is a space where there can be this engagement with nature, engagement with quieter spaces, since it's so spread out. It's not like a busy, like Jefferson Park. I love it, but it's busy with people. There are kids. And so, you know, this is a big enough space where you could have a playground maybe over here, but maybe you have this walking trail. So all that to say, I wanted to give you all a visual to see that it really is a huge underutilized space. And Rick has been doing a lot of work to bring life to it. Sheena, go ahead.
I have a question. Are there any like homeschooling communities within our community?
I don't know that there's
Probably,
any
yes.
large formal ones that I know of, at least. I'm sure there are. I know there are individuals that homeschool. I don't know to what extent they have collected. But yeah, I mean, those communities do exist. And if not in our footprint, I'm sure close there are some.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just know that the homeschooling communities that I used to speak at in New York, a lot of them utilize those like wooded fields and agriculture spaces.
Yeah.
Just because that's a part of their curriculum in the homeschooling area. So I just wanted to see if we already connected and contacted them, because they would honestly be like true advocates, you know.
Sure. No, and that's a
on.
great idea.
Mhm.
And in general, what I've been for like Franklin, Franklin's got some land,
Mhm.
but it struggles with, it wishes it had more. Well, we've got land down the street. So, you know, I've been talking to Churchill Academy about that as well. Is that and the homeschool, and that's a community that's can continue to grow because of the complexities of education these days. So we can basically say, hey, well, we've got all the athletic fields you need. Just let us know when you need to use them, you know, or just transforming, you know, maybe they're not softball fields anymore. Maybe they're kickball fields, or the beauty of the way they set up the fencing out there is that they actually could be subdivided, that you could have 8 or 10 entities out there doing stuff at the same time. And we've got 2 bathrooms in a little hut that's there that they're going to give me keys to. They're going to let me tap into that facility for water for the farm. And so Rich Public Schools is really, really open to ideas, because they literally have no intentions of using it ever. And that's kind of frustrating in one way, but it's an opportunity in another if you look at it. And so I chose the opportunity side. But and ultimately, it is a way to intersect with the schools in those after school activities. And I envision and hope that we're going to have a summer camp there starting next summer. Not this summer, but you know, hopefully by next summer, that will be provide access to the schools inside, do outside stuff, have it be a place where parents can feel comfortable that their kids are being monitored and supervised and engaged in a powerful way while they're off working, and take real full advantage of that space on a program standpoint.
And there's several Next Up partners that are actively looking for spaces for agriculture and photography and a couple of different things like in nature spaces. So reaching out to Next Up is another step as well, because they already have their hands in the pot with people looking for space. Right.
Yeah. Barbara, I know Barbara, I've known her for a long time. And so she's on my next week call list to try to get going, because I want them to come out.
Yeah, there's 2 open RFPs right now that they're receiving. And I think one of them closes this coming week.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to do anything that would intersect with the RFPs, but what I would want her to know is to be able to push out to others is that, hey, we've got this space, you know, but it is whether it fits into those or just on the ongoing basis. That's part of what I'd like to do. Is there's a lot of, Peter Paul could be coming down and doing stuff there.
Correct.
It should get to a point, hopefully, where it's, oh, I'm sorry, we don't have space for you because we've already got it reserved. But that's a long time. And to what you said, Sheena, about agriculture and nature, again, Paul, I appreciate the talk about the woods. The woods are extraordinary, and it is literally, there's a walking trail within the woods that used to be called Howard's Grove, and back in the 1800s, the whole area was all wooded, and it was called Howard's Grove, and so that's kind of what's left of it. But there's also every sort of bird. We've had deer there. That's going to be less and less. But hawks, I saw a hawk come down and pick up a bird off the field, and it's a nature paradise in the middle of the city. And
the reason why I mentioned the RFPs is because that's normally when a lot of the new people that don't have space are looking for space. Not necessarily for you to fill one out. It's just that when you do connect with Barbara, she has a list of those that are looking for space to do things, specifically because she has the new RFPs that are coming in.
I'll reach out to her on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been a frustration. One of the problems that we've had with the MLK schools, and I've had this conversation with Barbara a lot. Next up, to Sonny, if you're not aware, Next Up is a nonprofit that works with middle school kids across Richmond. And they've recently, through some of the money that's come through the federal government on pandemic and whatever, there's a large amount of money that's being offered through Next Up to organizations to do programming for kids, particularly summer, to try to deal with some of the lost education that happens during that time frame and just the way the world's been. But Next Up isn't in MLK right now, and hasn't been, because one of the problems we've had with Richmond in the past is that the nonprofits fight with each other over heads and grants. And the Boys and Girls Club got in there many years ago and kind of put up this invisible wall that kept the YMCA and Next Up and some of them out, because there was the intention of not competing, and instead of coming together and helping in a variety of ways, these kids didn't get that kind of service. So that's starting to change. But that's been part of the problem over the past many years is that the community hasn't been working with Richmond Public Schools in a really intersective sort of way to be able to provide the overall needs that the kids have.
So Next Up is more of a conduit. It's not they're not providing the actual programming. They hire program providers, and they carefully vet the providers in order to get into the schools. So they do have 3 programs right now in MLK, and they also have programming at what's the other? They have programming in Armstrong. They have programming they're working with Peter Paul for a couple of programming needs as well. And then they also provide programming even all the way down into VCU. So they have a VCU connection. We just had a call 2 weeks ago, not last week. It was 2 weeks ago. And we had learned about a lot of the opportunity that is there because they were just awarded another grant in order to filter out programming throughout the city of Richmond. So yeah, if we need to get on the ball to start talking to people about utilizing that space behind MLK that you're working on, now is definitely the time. And I would go through Sarah before Barbara, Sarah Ramirez. Mm-hmm. Sarah is a very responsive, and she's more of a coordinator type to get things done.
Yeah. I just know Barbara, so I would call it as a friend, but I would want Barbara to tell me, call Sarah.
Yeah, I just go directly to Sarah.
Yeah.
I like to get things done.
Yeah, no, I understand.
And Barbara's very busy, so
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're drawing up towards the end, but this is good. We got a lot of stuff going. One thing I did want to name just specifically, as Rick mentioned at the September 10th event, he's inviting us to be involved and engaged. So what we're going to do is
That'll be
that's
my
actually,
birthday party.
huh?
It'll be my birthday party.
Well, there you go.
Darn right. I knew it. I knew there was something. I was trying
Surprise, this was all for you. So this is actually going to be our September meeting, is engaging and participating, because the weekend before is Labor Day weekend, and we're not going to have a meeting on Labor Day weekend.
Mhm.
So between now and then, the journey will be to begin to build more and more engagement. So that by September, when we have whatever it ends up looking like for New Visions, whether it's a table or running, a station or anything like that, that we'll be confident we'll have a body of people there. And that
the beauty of that too, Paul, is that for the folks that can't come, they're going to hear about it a lot over these next couple of months. And so this is a real marketing opportunity for New Visions. As obviously, I think the goal is to get people to actually come out at some point. Oh yeah, I stopped by. But even for the people that can't, they're still going to benefit from knowing that it happened, and we can have that's the beauty. We can have another one the next week because there's nobody using the space. It's very well set up for that. So
yeah. It's good. Well, before we go, any other comments, questions, anything else anyone needs to say or share?
Yeah, Rick, really great stuff that you're doing over there. Are you going to be providing updates, like monthly updates with this as we get closer to September?
Yeah, definitely. I can do that.
Okay.
It's everything's sort of just come together in the last couple of weeks. Where I actually even was told the date, because once I found out I couldn't do the August 28th event, I was struggling because I just didn't want to pick a date that somebody. So I asked RPS to please tell me when you want to do it, and I'll do it for you, and to bring them on board like that. So they came back with that date, and I said sure, and I think it works good. There isn't anything going on August 10th this year, or September 10th. And I think, the week after Labor Day, everybody's been doing all that stuff before, so they're not as engaged. But so yeah, I'll be able to both update on who else is joining the mix, and also hopefully be able to start to talk to people about the farm, because I haven't been able really to do that. And you invited to add to the website, which I'm not ready to do it yet till I get the MOU. But once that's done, then boom, it's going to be, very specific details. We're probably going to take the summer off in a hardcore way. But I want to have that event on September 10th to be the grand opening of the MLK Urban Ag.
Okay. Cool.
Mhm.
Awesome. Anything else? Feeling good? Awesome. Good meeting. Well, this is May. So the next time we will be getting together is hypothetically June 4th. That'll be the plan. Summer gets interesting because then you start to get into people being on vacation and school ending and all that, but that'll be the current plan. And yeah, we're should be having the sector lieutenant is hoping to start joining our meetings. He just had some conflicts, a few other people that we're looking at. But if there's ever anything y'all are like, yep, we need to get some time with this person, don't hesitate to shout out. But in the meantime, enjoy the rest of the day. My son's now coming into the room with a broken slinky. So it looks like that's the next thing I'm doing. So y'all have a great weekend.
I didn't know you could fix a broken slinky.
Hey,
you can do it, Paul.
It's not broken. It's not broken.
Soon to be broken.
Soon to be broken. Great.
Soon to be broken.
All right. Well, I'm gonna stop it from getting broken. Y'all have a great weekend and look forward to seeing y'all.
Nice to meet you, Sheena. Nice to see you,
meet
Sonny.
you, Rick.
Back at you, Rick. Have a good weekend, guys.
Have a good
Bye.
weekend, Sunny, Paul.